نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. We are fast approaching election day and voting will begin very soon. Now there are some people that say voting doesn't matter, it won't make a difference, and whatever you do, the outcome will be the same. This notion couldn't be further from the truth. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. We are currently witnessing a genocide in Palestine of our brothers and sisters. And it has been continuing for many months now. And before that, the ethnic cleansing of Palestine has been ongoing for decades. Yet in this particular election, the leadership of both main parties have supported the genocide. And that's why it's different to some of our previous elections, such as the last one, in which we did have the leader of the opposition who was a strong supporter of Palestine and a major vocal critic against the oppression of the Palestinian people. And the result, we know that the Israeli lobby in this country work day and night, put all their resources into making Jeremy Corbyn lose that election. And that tells you quite a lot, that they were in fear, that they did not want that candidate to win, who was pro-Palestine, who was always anti-war, and was a prominent figurehead, in fact, in terms of the opposition against the Iraq war. And that's why the establishment, the media, those lobbies, and various other people with the special interest groups did not want such a candidate to win. So that tells you that voting does matter, because if they were not in fear of such a person coming to power, then they would not have put so much resources into making sure that he does not win. And that goes the same for other candidates in this country, and we know the same happens in other countries like the US. Now, whilst we don't have a credible opposition, we do have throughout the country candidates that have voiced strong support for Palestine and campaigned against the genocide. And some of those people you might know personally, they might be in your constituency. One of those constituencies is Stoke-on-Trent Central, where our brother Navid Kaleem is standing as an independent candidate. Now, Navid Kaleem has a track record, and that's what you need to do when it comes to voting. Look at the track records of those people wishing to be an MP who want your vote. What is their track record? If they've been in Parliament, have they voted against the genocide or have they voted for genocide? It's a very simple litmus test. What's their advocacy been like for causes to do with Muslims, concerning Muslims in the UK? If they haven't been in Parliament, you can see what their biographies are like, what their record has been like in terms of supporting Palestine. Now, there are some people that say you shouldn't even vote because whatever you do, it will bring out the same result. And I've gone to the extent to say it's haram to vote even in pretty much all circumstances. Now, one thing I want to make very clear here is that all candidates are not the same. A view which I've been heard said that all of these candidates are the same. Whatever you vote for, you will get the same result. That is not the case. Brother Navid has actually not only been a voice for Palestine, but he has actually been there on the ground. He's been there on the ground when it was dangerous. He's spent much in charity, raised funds for Palestine. So for those people that have not done any sacrifice, I find that a bit cheap for them to be criticizing his candidacy or other people that are actually trying to make a difference through this election when there is no sacrifice of their own. He has spent his own money in this regard. He has risked his personal safety by being there. He went there at the height of the war, was on the ground when Palestinians told him, you know, you're a British citizen, you have a British passport, you should go back and not risk your life being here, and instead go back to the comfort of your home. And he, despite hearing that, he did stay there. He's hosted Palestinians in his house. One such person lost 120 members of their family. But he considered it an honor and a blessing for that individual to be in his presence at his own house where he did the hosting. So I would like to say to those people, what is your contribution to Palestine, or what have you done for Palestinians on the ground? It's easy to make speeches, to talk from the sofa, be an armchair supporter, but what have you done on the actual ground? What sacrifices have you made? What have you done to go out there and make a difference? Now, I would just like to say that voting is not the only way. You can do many things. You can protest, you can write to MPs, of course, and you can mobilize, strategize in different ways to make a difference. But we do live in the UK. Muslims are the second, represent the second religion of the UK. Islam is UK's second religion. Yet we are massively underrepresented in politics, in other fields such as media, business, and so on. And unless we gain positions of influence in this country, in politics, in media, and in business, we are not likely to see that difference. And discouraging people to vote is a disservice for the Muslim community in this country. We have to safeguard our interests, our right. We have to protect our rights in this country and not let them be trampled upon. And I want to say something very important here. By not voting for the candidate that is against genocide, you are actually voting for genocide. In Stoke Central, you've got candidates who are the alternatives, who have voted for the continuation of the genocide. So in effect, by withdrawing your vote, not voting here, then you are effectively putting your vote for genocide. And it will be a real shame if, because of those people who did not vote and did not campaign and did not get out there, that we see such a result in that constituency or in other constituencies as well. He has already shifted the debate. And this is also important. We know that happened in the last election and also in this election by people campaigning on official platforms, raising the case of Palestine. This is already making a difference. It's shifting the public debate. This is very, very important. We've seen that across campuses and across the country, that it's not the same. Things are changing. It's becoming more and more difficult for politicians because of these protests, because of reporting on social media. You know, the genocide is being played live, that there is a difference this time. It's hard work. We have to keep pushing. Issues like Kashmir, like Palestine, need to be continued to be raised on all levels. If we do not vote, then how do we expect for our interests to be heard? How do we expect our rights to be safeguarded? And there could be further difficulties for the Muslim community in this country if you do not have representatives who are going to protect your rights and your freedoms here, and will also affect foreign policy abroad. So it's my dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give Navid that success. He's got a track record. I've known him. He's a person of principle who once votes will not turn back on his principles, which is something that people argue that once they get into power, they will be like this and like this. It's not always the case. And you know that there are strong voices in Parliament even today. And that puts fear in to those that think that they can keep the status quo. They are desperate to keep such people out. We need more of them in Parliament who are going to stick by their principles, who are going to speak for the truth, speak for what's right and what is just. So get behind Navid Kaleem. It's my appeal through this video to all those people in Stoke Central, or if you are in another constituency and you are watching this video, that if you have a candidate who you know is going to vote against genocide, who's going to campaign against genocide and speak up for the dignity and the rights of Palestinian people and other oppressed people throughout the world, that you get out there and you do vote and you don't stay home. And you also tell other people to vote. Get that voice, get your voice out there, contact people, tell them to make sure you vote for the right candidate. Otherwise, not doing anything or a lack of action here could mean that a genocide supporting candidate will be an MP and will have another vote towards enabling that genocide. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all from the evils that could come about and the dangers and the harms that could come about after this election. In fact, for those people that believe participating or voting doesn't matter, or we should just be apathetic to what's happening, the Prophet ﷺ in fact instructed of a dua, and this is a hadith in Tirmidhi. It's part of a longer hadith, but the section which you might hear is Allahumma la tusallit alayna man la yarhamna. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do not appoint rulers over us that will not have mercy upon us, because we know the harms that will bring upon us. So we pray for good leadership in this country, good representatives, and we will hope that through this election more people will be encouraged to participate and be a strong voice for Muslims and for righteousness in this country. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ.